Why does it take child support to motivate fathers to become involved parents? And I will say that going through divorce is incredibly illuminating. Like you think you know how the world works until you start experiencing it. And until I myself had gone through a divorce, I would have thought a similar question like, yeah, why are you waiting until the last minute? But see, now that I've experienced it, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense why someone waits until they're in a new situation to get acclimated to it. Now, what we're talking about is simply typically if there's some kind of separation, all of a sudden there's a child support arrangement that's been established. So guys decide, okay, well, I typically guys decide, all right, I want to try to have 50-50 custody. Maybe they didn't know those pieces of information, the best friend or the child's doctor, which is totally fair. I understand completely why you think it's reasonable for someone to know that information and then also be surprised as to why all of a sudden they're now jumping in headfirst to try to make up for lost time. But it's not really fair to do that because we both know why they're now scrambling to do something they had not previously done. And that's because they were in a partnership where one person was doing one role and another person was doing a different one. And now that that partnership has been dissolved, they no longer have another person to lean on to take care of those doctor's appointments and those parent teacher conferences. So, of course, now that their situation has changed, they have to change. It's a really, really messed up situation. And from experience, I get the dilemma because if you're making a certain amount of money based off of the fact that you have another partner who is helping you with the child stuff, you can probably work like 16 hours a day. So you make more money than you would make if you were only working 8. But the trick is once you separate, they use that same income that you were making to determine how much child support you have to pay. So your child support is based off of the income you're currently making. You can't just quit your job and say, okay, now I'm going to be a full-time parent. I'm available to do everything that she can do. It doesn't work like that. The courts are going to use the calculations based off of what you've been doing, and they're going to hold you to that standard. And that is a double-edged sword that unfortunately I haven't heard too many great answers to. But it is the reason why so many people get screwed over in court because they're forced to decide to either try to make more money to combat the fact that now they have to pay this expense, which obviously means they're less available to be a parent, or they tough it out as long as they can and then they try to get their custody case reevaluated to try to get more time in the future after making less money for some period of time. What seems to happen in most cases is that they simply decide, well, I'm just going to choose the money and I'm going to keep making the money and I'll just pay. And therefore, I can no longer be available to have the same amount of parental rights that I would like. And it's just really messed up because it's not fair. If you are the person who is maybe a stay-at-home parent and your situation changed, you have to adjust. So why isn't the other party given the same opportunity? If you're a provider, you are responsible for maintaining your income. Otherwise, you could end up in jail or losing your licenses or whatever else you got going on. And the answer is, unfortunately, you got to have an amicable relationship. Otherwise, you're in trouble. It's a really tough situation to overcome. And even if you go the route of taking less money and trying to wait it out, who knows how long it's going to be before your case gets reevaluated. And it's just risky because even during that time, you still have to pay that maximum amount and your custody is affected by your previous agreement. So all around, it's just not great. Like, you really got to do your best to have an amicable relationship. It's the only way. Sure, he's trying to mitigate his financial obligation, but he obviously wants to spend time with his child. And it's a little bit insulting to ask the question as though you don't understand. Asking why a man is stepping up all of a sudden and trying to be more involved in his kid's life after you file child support is like asking a stay-at-home mom why she's all of a sudden going to get a job now that she's getting a divorce. Because that's what you have to do because the situation has changed. It's not an unreasonable question. It's perfectly logical. And if you truly believe that this person only wants to get out of paying money, but it would result in them seeing your child, then that's probably still worth it too. I totally understand that people get put in a tough spot during a separation. But also, this is all supposed to be about the child. So if it's what's best for them to be able to see their other parent, then that really should be all that matters.